Hi. Today I just want to give you a few reminders about how to keep working on your literature review. The first thing I want to remind you of is that early this week I'll be giving you feedback on your literature review drafts if they were submitted by Friday night. And you should review that feedback along with your peers' feedback, review the assignment, review your sources, any of your other process work like your annotated bibliographies or the maps you are working on, my comments on your blogs, to think about how you want to keep revising that literature review. You might also decide to make an appointment at the Write Zone for a Writing Center consultation. Though it is midterms, so it's pretty busy over there, it would be a good idea to call them early in the week if you want to set up an appointment. The first thing that I want to review with you is to take a quick look at the sample that was posted in the Week 8 folder so that we can take a look at how that student uses headings and organizes on a big scale her literature review. Then I want to remind you about the Ignite presentations and your job for those this week. Okay, so in the Week 8 folder, there is a strong student example. This example is called What Are the View of Female Jazz Musicians and the Impact of This View? The student has titled her literature review with her research question and then has included a subtitle that's more focused on the issue that she wants to look at. So in the introduction section, the student has background information on defining the field and exploring why this topic is significant in a general basis, and then she maps out how the rest of the literature is going to proceed, and so we can especially see that here. She works through 3 major sections in her literature review: jazz history and tradition, which gives us probably the broadest perspective on jazz in our culture, or the culture of jazz overall. Then she looks at a more narrow issue, factors contributing to the lack of female participation in jazz, particularly at gender stereotyping. So this right here is a broader subtopic, factors contributing to the lack of female participation in jazz, and then after the colon, she includes a specific problem with that is the gender stereotyping and other views about women in jazz. So she's getting a little bit more narrow in this section. And then we see even more narrow focus on the problem that she wants to solve, or will be looking at in her next project, lack of female participation in jazz. So we've got this broader history, an issue of gender stereotyping. What has that stereotyping perhaps led to, or what have some of the other sociocultural issues led to? They've led to a lack of female participation. So with each subsequent section, she gets more narrow and focused on part of the topic. Finally, in the conclusion, then she's working on summarizing what this overall body of literature is saying about the topic. It would be worth reading that student sample in more detail to see the overall moves that she makes, to look at how she brings discussion of sources together. She's using a style of citation that includes footnotes. Many of you, if you're writing an APA or MLA, will be using in-text citations. Don't forget those as an integral part of your project. And here you can see her bibliography at the end. It would also be a good idea for you to take another look at the literature reviews in the articles that you've been reading. For example, the 2 texts that you did for your genre analysis, to make sure that you have, or not to make sure of anything, but just to see the major moves that those authors are making, what kinds of headings they're using, that kind of stuff, so that you can think about how best to organize your draft. The other thing that I want to remind you about this week, again, is your Ignite presentation, which is an important part of getting feedback on Project 3 and how it's going to help you move into Project 4, where you'll actually be conducting your own research or planning to conduct your own research on the topic. So again, you have in the discussion board forum, Ignite presentations. Everybody has their own thread. You're going to go in there and upload your presentation. So let's take a look here at one that's uploaded. And that needs to be uploaded by Wednesday night, March 9th. Now, ideally, people would have already been uploading them, but what this means that they're all coming in this week is that we have to each watch between or about 20 of these talks this week to give each other feedback on Ignite, on the talks, on the research questions. Your job this week is to give everybody who posts a talk 2 questions that will help them think about their topic. And I'm going to be taking a look at the questions that everybody posts. Think about the kinds of things that you're genuinely wondering about when you watch the talk. If you feel like they've missed an idea and they could expand on it more, you might say, have you thought about X idea? Or have you taken a look at this particular source? I think it would be helpful for you. My expectation is that you would be able to provide special insight for students that are in a discourse community that's similar to yours, so that you can help them think about things that are important. But here you are serving, just like you do in peer response, as a test audience for how the student is starting to put together ideas and talk through what's important to them. So I expect thoughtful and engaged feedback popping up in the questions. You'll see then that one of your activities for next week, or for the end of this week, rather, is to start to respond to those questions in addition to revising your literature review.